easier to him.
Just him.
Well,
Yeah.
you just punch the front of it.
Yeah,
Deb's,
oh, she gave him the kick.
That's right.
Deb's here and it's 5:30, so we can get started.
Okay. I did a little schedule on how the water and actually the utilities department's kind of set up, and so people know a little bit about who works where and when and whatever. And basically, of course, when we have an emergency, as small as we are, none of this really takes place. If we have an emergency in collection system, we have people that go from working in the lab and the operators to collection. If we have something that happens in the distribution in the water side, and someone in the plant can help fill in, vice versa. And then we've also had them where they cross from water into wastewater, where if we have a sewer plug or a main break, we've actually had them cross over on that. But basically, we have John Appleman, just to let you guys know, is over distribution. I don't know if you're familiar with John. Mike Hammond is the plant superintendent. He's over the water plant. Then you go over on the wastewater side, you have Jack Brown that's over the plant and also the collection system. And then you have Dan Stofan, who is in charge of the lab and all the pre-treatment, which means it's your fall program, and then he also interviews all the new industries and stuff that's coming in to see exactly what they're going to discharge, so that he can keep tabs of it in the lab.
This was Steve Plum, who worked for us, his wife.
Mm-hmm. Passed away. Yeah, Steve just recently retired, and I knew that's what was going to happen as soon as he retired. And he basically retired to take care of his wife, because she was in pretty bad shape. And then I think she lasted 2 weeks after he retired. Wow. So anyway, that's kind of that. And then
she had a long battle with cancer.
it was she had about everything you could think about. She had major organ transplants. She had cancer. She had heart operation. She had I don't know, different broken bones from falling, and she just hung on forever and ever. She's my age, she's 57 years old. So anyway, so to get back on this a little bit, and then underneath John Appleman, we have Tim Parker, Sean Reynolds, Bill Gordon, and the new employee that'll be hired. In the plant, there's 3 people in the plant. On the water side, there's Mike Hammond, Bob Hoskison, and Amanda Ray.
Bob's been here how many years? 40?
912.
43. 44. There was a rumor he was going to retire.
Oh my God! Stop.
And then I don't know.
He ain't old enough.
It's not old enough.
There was also a rumor that the sun wasn't going to come up.
It's been his last 2 years for the last 12 years, I think. This is my last 2 years. Anyway, so
You bury him out by the
yeah,
lime field out
yeah,
there.
we're gonna do something with him. So we'll put up some kind of
That's
memorial.
like that guy. That's like the old guy at
Maybe we'll
Roswell.
just throw him in the lime again. Huh?
So,
Jimmy Gilbert, there was a guy worked out there at Rockwell, hired in there in 1951, and he just retired a year ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had 60-some years in that place.
I remember him going on tours.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Part of the tour.
We told him we was going to run him through that number 8 furnace. We said, when he keels over, we're just going to take you over and throw you in the furnace.
Got a little urn there for him.
Oh, cremation Rockwell style.
Yeah.
I just have a question about this kind of TO. So Mike Hammond is only over the 2 people, or is he over everybody as plant superintendent?
He is basically only over the 2 people that's in
Okay.
the plant.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, if we have a problem, the people at the bottom of these arrows here can fly back and forth, and they would be over them.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it. There's only 3 people in the plant, and we run 2 shifts 7 days a week.
If we had a main break, we had staff that maybe out of town on vacation or whatever, couldn't be called in. somebody like Amanda, we could call her in to go, work a main break with Appleman's crew, and she'd be fine. Mike Hammond has done that, before too. If there's stuff going on at the plant where we need extra bodies, we'll have distribution people, work at the plant for a day or
I
something.
mean, I've actually did traffic control while, they got a main break on different places. So, I mean, everybody works
They
together.
found a place to hide.
They did. I'm really good at doing this.
You need to help me park cars.
There you go. Well,
There you
yeah,
go.
I call sometime.
That's down by,
I'm gonna take a lot of brain matter.
down by Tim's house, you got everybody working.
Yeah, I did that day, yeah. Everybody was working in there.
So John Appleman and Mike Hammond are basically equals.
They're
Right.
threes.
They're-
They're foremen.
Right. If you look at the top four, under water and wastewater, if you look at John Appleman, Mike Hammond, Jack Brown, and Dan Stofan, those are all worker threes.
Okay,
And those are like, we call them superintendents. I mean, they've been called a lot, they've been called chief operators. But the city recognizes them as a worker three. Then you not only have your worker threes, but then you have the people that are certified in plant operations. So, and that's where a lot of people get confused is there's people that's certified through the EPA, that's a 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, which has nothing to do with the worker 1, 2, or 3. Okay, and that's the way it works. And then
Now,
under
what's Nick?
Nick is
Nick's a 2.
he is a worker 2, but he has a class 3 through the EPA.
We got plenty of cross-reference licenses for all these things, right?
You mean between water and wastewater?
Oh,
You mean guys that are dual licensed in both
Dual
water and
licensed,
wastewater?
aren't we?
No, the only people that we have that are dual licensed are Shane and Carl over in the wastewater plant. They did work previously in distribution,
Mhm.
so they got their water licensing while they were in distribution. They transferred over to the wastewater side, and they're both in the process of accumulating certifications then in wastewater plant operations as well. So
then
really,
they
those
will
are the
be-
only two guys that we have in our, other than John, those are the only two guys that we have in the utilities areas that have licensing in both disciplines, water and wastewater.
So they do have it now, Mark?
They do. They
Okay, so
each,
they're
they each
licensed
got
in
their, what,
3 and
class 3 in water?
3 in water and 2 in wastewater.
Yeah.
okay.
Should we consider others?
Well, the problem is that in order to obtain classification in a discipline, you have to actually work in that discipline for a period of time as well. So somebody like, let's just take for example Nick, he's got his 3 in wastewater. Would he have the knowledge or be able to get the knowledge to pass a class 1 water test? Yeah, probably. But since he doesn't work in a water plant, since he's not in that discipline, that's part of what you need in order to get your claasification.
You gotta have so much time in.
Well, that's right.
What you actually have to do is when there's an opening in water or wastewater, which there is an opening now, I mean, and we've opened it up for everybody, but we didn't have anyone cross into it. Someone that's really energetic that wants to get double certified, they can transfer in. Now, Nick had the opportunity to transfer into the water distribution, but I think maybe Nick just didn't want to at his age maybe or something. I don't know what his reasons were, but
When
Could he transfer back?
after
words,
a
yeah.
year,
In other words, like,
after
If
a
say
year,
he wanted to
there's a-
cross over.
if
and
there's
then-
an opening,
Okay,
and you can't transfer. You can only transfer once in a 12-month period of time.
okay, that's what I meant there.
Lean and mean crew here.
so basically what that is you have Jack Brown is over both the operators and I call them operator lab workers. Because those people, if you're an operator lab worker, you operate the plant and you do tests in the lab. Those are the people that do that. Then Jack's over both of those. He's also over the collection, which is anything outside of the plant. And you have like Nick Ross, that's his primary duty. You have Lee McCown, and then the new employee that will be hired in will be on that side too. So we're looking for a new employee for water and also a new employee for wastewater.
so who's Dan Stofan?
Dan Stofan is over Shane Farabee and Carl.
Oh,
They're kind of, and so is Jack. So is Jack.
okay.
Because he kind of works with, that's kind of why I have that arrow going down to both, and then also I have the little arrow going off to the side for the collection. Jack is over both collection and the plant.
Okay.
Okay, but he's got a guy beside him that's kind of a lab supervisor that also is in charge of the pre-treatment and our fog program, fats, oils, and greases, and all testing that takes place in the lab. We used to probably, at one time, 70% of all the testing in the lab would go outside. Now we probably, maybe what goes outside, maybe 25% of the testing. So a lot of our testing is done in-house now versus, and that's good because we get results right away. What would happen if we had to make a correction in the plant? By the time we got the lab test back from the lab that we were doing things out, it had already gone by and it was through the system and we couldn't make any corrections anyway, and then we're probably in more trouble than when we started. So now Jack Brown and Dan Stofan kind of work together to make that wastewater plant run smooth.
Save a lot of money on lab fees
Save quite a bit, a lot.
versus his total compensation.
When we first started, when we brought him in, I think the round number was we saved, when we hired him in, we saved about $30,000 a year by having him moving the test in-house. So it was quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Convenience.
And the convenience and the reliability and the better treatment process. Yeah. But I thought maybe, I kind of wanted to go through that so that everybody knew how we're set up and so forth. We had, I'm going to talk a little bit about the tank that we're going to be putting up, hopefully, in the near future. The picture that you see on the front is actually one of the tanks that D&N Tanks put in. That'll look very similar to the tank that we will be installing. This isn't quite as big. I'll read this. So the D&N tanks are constructed to last for generations and beyond, weather buried or above ground. All of the circular pre-stressed concrete tanks built in accordance with the AWWA standards D110. D&N tanks are constructed utilizing specialized methods and exacting quality control, delivery assurance service with negligible maintenance, and they are very maintenance free. Why I like the pre-stressed concrete is because every 10 years we don't have to spend a bunch of money on sandblasting, painting, things like that. This tank is virtually.
So we've opted for this one over the one that goes with in here.
That's what we're looking at. If
That's plan A.
Plan A.
And the reason we can do this is because we've got higher ground,
Yes.
so we've got the water pressure issue resolved.
Basically, we're taking, instead of building that steel structure to build it up, we're buying a piece of ground that's already built up to the top portion of that steel structure. The sentence below that, currently still working on finalizing the land acquisition and right-of-ways from 2 property owners.
How big a tank is that gonna be?
This will be a 350,000 gallon tank. It'll be about 42 feet high, about 60 feet wide diameter, 60 feet wide.
Hold more capacity than
Yeah,
a taller one, I'm sure.
current tank right now is 133,000. The new tank will be 350,000.
About 2.5 times.
What's the one out on, out here?
Seminary Road.
West, that's a $500,000 above and below the ground. There's 1 million gallons of water out there. The $500,000 above the ground, which is our high pressure zone in the industrial area,
Okay.
and there's $500,000 under the ground, which helps feed our low pressure zone in the normal part.
How many is the tank at River Oaks?
River Oaks is 1 million underground. Now there's a pump station up there. If this tank goes in, it'll do away with one of the pump stations that works on that Laurel Oaks, the area pump. That pump station will go away if this tank gets built.
When you say 42 foot high by 60 foot diameter.
This is less expensive than the tall
And the steel, oh yeah.
one.
Well, but when you factor in the water lines that we would have to run to the new location to feed it, and eventually to dual feed it, and it'd be about the same cost-wise between this and if we were to put up a new elevated tank at the WCLT location. Yeah. So
Same price, bigger capacity.
yes, and less maintenance.
So current, the second paragraph there, and has a lot to do with whether we do Plan A. Is currently we're still working on finalizing the land acquisition and right of ways from 2 property owners, hoping for completion by the end of February 2015. That's what we're hoping for.
Okay, you have 2 property owners involved now.
Yes.
Yeah.
One is right away.
The one where you'd have the tank, and then easement for dual feeding would have to go across the different property owners' ground to some extent.
Are you
So-
getting any flack over there?
I think probably safe thing to say is we're making progress. It's not finalized. This is Plan A. We have a very viable Plan B that we feel completely comfortable going with if Plan A doesn't work out.
Okay.
I think that's probably the way we should state it, right?
I'm gonna-
And the county imposed additional considerations when you met with them last month?
No.
That part went fine?
Yes. Yep. That went very well.
We actually got the lot split and everything's ready to go. We're just waiting on the landowners to sign on the document.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump around a little bit. We'll go to page 3. We'll talk about the tank a little bit. Last week I had a meeting with D&N Tanks. Now that doesn't mean they do the pre-stressed concrete tanks.
You go on page 3 you're going to?
Yes,
Okay.
it'll be the 3rd page,
Not a
where it says tanks manufacturer.
The automatic.
And
Number 4 on the agenda.
tanks manufacturing meeting on page 3.
Down below the AMR.
Anyway, last week we had a meeting with D&N Tanks, which is the manufacturers of this pre-stressed tank. We will do the, we will specify, how the pre-stressed tank's being in so that we can have multiple bidders. We don't want to just alienate this or just have one tank construction that we're looking at. So we want to be able to have several, to keep it competitive, we want to be able to have several tank manufacturers be able to bid on the project. But we did have a meeting with D&N Tanks so that I could understand how the construction of the tank is done, how it's basically put in place and how it's erected and so forth. Recent meeting with D&N Tanks, we were shown the construction techniques of the tank installation. The tank utilizes precast concrete walls with an embedded steel diaphragm. The tank wall is placed in a permanent compressed, accomplished by horizontal wire wound pre-stressing. What it is, you have like concrete, then there'll be a band of steel that goes around it. Then the next step is concrete embedded with wire wound, and there's like two 2-inch layers of that, and then they finish the outside of it. So it's kind of, it's, I wish I could have borrowed that. They had like a portion that cut away of it, and I wish I could have brought that in. I should have asked him if I could borrow
About
it.
how thick are the walls?
I'd say about 14 inches thick, about 14 inches when it's all totally done.
Are we waiving the bidding on this? We're going up for bids.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, we don't, it's not even designed yet. It's not, even specifications haven't been drawn up yet. We can't do anything till the land acquisition is finalized and all the easements are done. So we can't even, I'm trying to get from A to B and we can't get to B till A is finalized. But I've been meeting with them, talking to them on the phone. Hopefully we're getting close, so.
The tank's 42 feet tall. How many panels are you gonna have to reach that height?
He acted like it would be one panel that's erected. It'd be 42 feet high, and then there's a dome on top of that. And that dome is what ties everything in.
Did you want around the circumference?
Yeah, it's kind of like hinged. They have a certain way that they do that every so often.
Prefab?
It's kind of like a prefab. application. They set up certain, certain points of it, and then they'll blast so much of it, and they'll put the wire wound in around. They set up a portion of it. It goes all the way around, solid concrete, and locks in. It's kind of like a
Tongue
locking
and groove
system,
almost.
almost like a tongue and groove. And then there's like, they showed me what goes on the bottom and then what goes
Stressed in the field, stressed in the field.
pre-stressed in the field.
And the concrete is kind of like high pressure spray.
Yeah, it's sprayed in. The first one's solid. Okay, the first initial ring. Then there's a steel, and I think the steel's attached to that. The steel in between there on the furthest most side. Then they put the wire wound in, and then they blow that concrete in, and then they smooth that out, and then there's one more layer after that they put. It's very interesting. It's very
All
interesting.
that drilling manufacturers do that.
Did you talk to them at all about putting color in the concrete?
Yes.
Any issues
The
with
color,
something like that?
well, the color they do is that they'll be, the landowner is, what I'm kind of doing now is the landowner wanted to have the ability to pick the color of the tank. And then there's also, we allotted him so much money for landscaping around the outside. But the tank is actually, this is what they tell me, it's actually painted the color. It's not in the concrete, but they use an epoxy 2-tie style paint that adheres to that concrete. He says he's got tanks in the field that haven't been painted for 25 years. Now he said it'll fade.
What color is painted?
Well, that's up to the landowner to pick.
Oh,
It'll be an earth tone.
Okay.
And most of them
Yeah.
are earth tones, like
Tan
Color
or,
your-
yeah,
Color your vessel.
color your
yeah,
shirt.
there could
Yeah.
be, I mean, there's a selection of earth tones.
Okay.
Property owner, in the agreement, we allow the property owner to pick the color and then also to pick the landscaping that goes with that, because he kind of wanted the tank hidden. He didn't want it. So there's certain trees that he will be allowed to put in to kind of buffer it, to hide the tank.
So,
And he could even match, like, they could look at the color of the leaves, like what the leaves would be like, and they could try to blend that, match that color of the tank to be, I mean, if they want to. I mean, he'll have the ability to pick and choose.
well, is this landowner gonna retain title to this property?
No, we would be purchasing the quarter acre of ground that the tank
Talking about the
is
land
on.
that's around it,
It's his.
it's his, so
So we'd have an easement to be able to access it as well as run piping to
There,
it.
there's
we're
the,
buying just as little as we absolutely need.
By a quarter acre.
Postage stamp, and then he's gonna own acres around it.
here's what it is. Here's Linville. Here's the easement going up. We'll have easement to the tank site. We will own this. That's what we did through the county. Because they didn't have frontage, we had to have the county approve
This
this
is a variance for
this. Okay, then there's also an easement that runs towards Misty Meadows. There's an easement that runs towards Linville. I'm sorry, State Route 13, and then there's an easement that runs to Linville. This is a different property owner here.
Wow.
This is another property owner here. But anyway, it's very interesting listening to how they have tanks all over the place. The closest one here is, he said there's 2 big tanks at the airport that they did. At the Columbus Airport. I don't know where it's at. I'm going to take the road. Oh, another one is in Baltimore, Ohio. They have a tank there that's their clear well that's above ground that they did a few years back, about 7 years back. So we'll probably.
We're just gonna get
He is out of Hilliard, Ohio, but I don't know where B&N Tanks,
Central Ohio.
their main base. They're all over the country. They've got 23 crews. 26 crews. They're nationwide. So where exactly their home base is, I don't know. And again, this is one of probably 3 or 4 that'll bid this project. One manufacturer of 3.
What kind of warranty do they provide?
They're telling me 20 plus years. I mean, they say it lasts.
You know,
I-
what's in writing?
What's in writing?
Well, I think, Jeff, you maybe
Just
jumped
check
the gun a little bit.
yeah.
I mean, we haven't even
Well, not typically. What's What's the industry called for?
I can't tell you right off. I know that these pre-stressed concrete tanks have been around for a long time. You know, that's all I can tell you. What the warranty is, I'm sure there's some tanks could have sprawling or something where they may have to come in. They recommend it and have them inspected about every 5 years to make sure nothing's going on with the concrete or some kind of repair doesn't have to be done. But that's kind of, from talking to him, that's kind of what they do. I mean, you specify when to put in. I don't know what the warranty is. I'll find out as we get closer to time.
PN
There-
Tanks has operational facilities in El Cajon, California. I think a J is pronounced like an H in Spanish, right? El Cajon, California. In Grand Prairie, Texas. In Doa, Qatar. And in Wakefield, Massachusetts. But yeah, they have 50 state. They
Qatar.
operate in
Qatar, that's in the Mideast.
Qatar,
Well,
yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
you'd say.
they operate in all 50 states, and so they have regional managers in different places.
Good to see those tanks.
They actually had one not too long ago. It was under construction this summer, and I didn't get a chance to get up and see it, but it was in Michigan, I believe. No, I'm sorry, West Virginia. It was in West Virginia that was under construction, somewhat close to where we were.
Send her getting them folks.
And I think they're in the process of starting one in Michigan, which maybe the mayor and I might take a road trip. That's not a good problem.
I was just curious, what the industry standard?
You know, I think when we get into the specifications, I'll be able to fill you in a little bit more on, you know, when we start the design and stuff, I'll be able to sit down with the engineer and we'll be talking more about specifics, and I can give you a lot more information on warranties and different things like that. But I do know that a pre-stressed concrete tank is.
Well, and the ones we get the bids from will give references like that.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, some may warranty better than others. I mean, I don't know. We'll just find out. But there's probably an industry standard. I know that what I quoted, this AWWA standard, it says that they abide by this D110. That's a standard that the American Water Works Association puts out, so they have to build.
Sometimes when it comes to warranties in this town, if it wasn't for bad luck, we wouldn't have it at all.
Anyway.
State spec requires responsible bidder, and part of that is demonstrating just the references you're interested in, what kind of typical warranties.
And another thing is, I did remember this from our meeting, and the engineer said something to me about that, was you can specify a warranty time. Now, it may cost you a little bit more, but let's say you want a so many year warranty. You could specify a warranty time. I remember talking about that a little bit.
Why would you do that if they don't do anything different to
Well,
the tank?
Let's say they guarantee it for 5 years of, you know, nothing,
Yeah.
you know. And you could say, well, we want this thing guaranteed for 15 years without any problems at all.
Oh, okay.
They would extend that from 5 to
I
15
guess
years,
I'm
maybe
thinking-
for a certain.
I guess I'm thinking like, you know, the tank rupturing or something.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not.
You're not going to have we're not going to have like what scares me to death every year is these harvester tanks that we got. We got 2 of them, and I'm so afraid one of these days someone's going to take a shot at it with a gun, and I'm going to be out there holding my finger inside that tank until we figure out how we're going to patch it.
Who's gonna take your photo? Cause you take all the
Okay.
photos.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
Hand the
sure
camera
someone will
off
grab
somebody.
a picture of it. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know that was my first question. Well,
What
you
is
know,
that? What is that story? Is I remember as a kid, some
the dam,
Dutch
that was the
kid,
dam.
yeah,
That-
something like that, yeah.
See if they had
Yeah,
good
there you
shoes
go.
on.
What was it?
Yeah,
That-
yeah, that's what it was.
The other thing, if you have anxieties, you can step up to testing when you erect it too.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all different kind of variations we can go with on how much we want to spend. But my first question was, now do I have to worry about someone shooting that tank and they're putting a hole in it? And the guy goes, no. He goes, there's no way they're going to put a hole through that. Because we may have to come out and kind of patch it a little bit with some concrete, but it's not going to go through the tank.
Touch up the epoxy.
Anyway, where was I? Okay, that was pretty much, we talked about the tank that's gonna be going up. We showed the picture and that is very similar to what I think our tank's gonna look like. It may be a little bit different color than that, but that's kind of the way it's gonna go. Next thing I wanted to mention, and I know I've mentioned this before, our valve turning tool is on order. We did order this. So that's kind of the way it looks like on your second page there. It's called a Herco Spin Doctor.
What's the cost of that?
It was $20,000. It's on a trailer, and I'm gonna repeat some of the things, why it's such a good deal for us, and why John Appleman, you can see him standing there taking a picture of it. He was really impressed. But I told Sean Reynolds, I said, don't ever let me find you take a picture with your hands in your pocket. I said, make sure that your hands are out of your pocket. I'm just kidding. Anyway,
Hey, what's this green stuff they're standing
isn't that
on?
nice?
What is that?
Yeah,
Oh, God.
that's a dream.
The other day I was looking and it was warmer in Anchorage, Alaska. I was thinking about going up there. It was like 35 degrees and it was like 7
Today.
degrees here. Wasn't that today?
Yeah.
My husband was reading that too.
Yeah. It's
Be
very,
careful with your wish. West
Yeah.
Coast is warm, but it's dry.
yeah.
They're gonna have a tremendous fire season.
What, that Alaska?
Now,
Where?
West Coast, Oregon, Washington,
Oregon, yeah.
California.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kids are even warmer yet. Really.
Don't have to worry about fire season.
You going there? Are you? Good for you.
Don't forget Sunday postcard.
Good fish.
Anyway, I'll mention a few of these, what the advantages of it is. Just get it close, and the Spin Doctor wide range of motion capabilities will do the rest. Spin Doctor boom is made of high-strength steel tubing that is a sufficient size and strength. It has the strength and flexibility to go up to 500 foot-pounds of torque with extensive range of motions and multi-directional heads. Spin Doctor quickly mounts to almost any valve or hydrant. We can also exercise the hydrants with this if we want to, eliminating the need for critical time-consuming vehicle alignment. Exercise up to 60% more valves per day. I don't know what they mean by that. I assume they mean that by a traditional automatic valve turner. Reach valves and hydrants behind curbs, in boulevards, and multiple valves in close proximity without repositioning the vehicle. So anyway, wanted to
I'd
talk
like to
about
see
that.
that in operation.
Yeah, we'll definitely. Maybe I can have to set it up for public service. Maybe we'll do one of those. Wanted to stress the importance of our AMR system, automatic meter reading system. We have met with Zenner, Mayor and I, and Jay, and the water clerk went up to Johnstown, Ohio, and looked at their system. I've met with Neptune, which is a similar system that's out in that's being used in Hebron, and we'll be meeting with Census on Wednesday, the 25th. We're getting close to picking a manufacturing that meets our needs and best fits our what we need to do. So I want to mention this again. You know, I've talked about it. I want to mention why we need to do it. Automatic meter reading system, or AMR, a utility's most important management tool, is timely, reliable meter reading information. Frequent meter reading supports operation and comprehensive customer service. This is why the City of Heath needs to implement an automatic meter reading system. An AMR system gives us the capability of receiving readings daily. This not only enhances our customer service, but also enables us to generate more accurate bills and to notify customers of unusual water consumptions. Proactive leak detection saves not only the customer's unwanted excess expense, but also helps all of the water customers of the City of Heath. It gives us more capacity too, because if we have leaks that are going around that we're not aware of, and we see a jump somewhere, and we can notify that customer, maybe like Kaiser Aluminum or the Port Authority, that, hey, you know, there's a jump in service here that we've noticed trending over a period of time. What that does is that gives us more capacity back at our plant, so that if we find it, we get it fixed, and we can sell more water. We can sell water to other customers instead of trying to rebuild our plant or make our plant bigger. So the AMR is a very good system. Again, I've mentioned that we're behind on this. This is stuff that we need to get caught up on, and hopefully we'll be able to fit this in, hopefully this year, at least get started on it. That basically, I talked to him about the water. We'll start talking a little bit about wastewater. I want to talk a little bit about the scum collection update. We're in the middle of getting ready to put this out, the scum concentrator out for bids. Where we're at, summarize all 3 manufacturer information, had a meeting early March 2nd. There's about 3 or 4 manufacturers that build this scum concentrator. Draft and finalize RFP or request for proposals. We'll be putting a request for proposals out to these manufacturers. Cover letter and technical specifications, we'll be looking at that about March 6th. We'll send out the request for proposals to manufacturers for bidding on March 9th. We'll receive bids by March 23rd. And selected by the end of March, hopefully we'll be selecting a manufacturer. We also will be meeting with Mid Ohio Mechanical, who does most of our installation work. We're bidding these out ourselves. We're not getting tied up with an engineering firm. The engineering firm's helping us with the specifications for design on buying the unit, but I will be working with the manufacturer to get it installed.
How much money are you gonna save with that?
Let's say we'd save pretty good money if I was paying a $125 an hour engineer versus my salary. Yeah, we're gonna be saving some money. How much exactly? I'll let you know.
$7 an hour.
No. Save probably about.
Yeah, don't let it. I heard the fiddle. I heard the violins playing as well.
Probably about 120. Anyway.
What do you do, flag? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, what the heck? If I go and flag for Newark, I'd probably get a raise.
Oh.
But anyway, just kidding.
They don't have any money to spend on it.
Nah. Yep, they pay good. Okay, wastewater scum concentrator update. I'm going to jump. Where am I going to jump to? Let's take I got a picture of our scum concentrator on the very last page. The picture you see at the bottom is our existing scum concentrator. I've talked about this before on how we've got holes in the sides of it. The paddles are pretty well worn out. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the scum concentrator. The city of Heath, Ohio owns and operates the Heath wastewater treatment plant with a permitted capacity of 1,750,000 million gallons a day. Recent facility upgrades that was done in 2011 includes the construction of a new headworks building, which included new fine screens and screen handling equipment. The existing headwork facility was converted to a scum concentrating handling facility with the demolition of the existing screen. So in this building, before we upgraded, not only was there a scum concentrator in there, but there was also a screen in there. And in the screen building, it's very corrosive. So that, in effect, also helped the demise of this unit. Now, don't get me wrong, it still lasted 23 years. This was put in 1992, and it's lasted 23 years, which if you can get 20 years life out of a piece of wastewater equipment, you're doing pretty daggone good. So this piece of equipment lasted 23 years. The existing scum concentrator was installed in the previous wastewater treatment plant expansion that was done in 1992, not 2011. The existing scum concentrator requires significant maintenance requirements to remain operational and has reached the end of its useful life. The existing scum concentrator has the following design criteria. The criteria you see below here is what we will be basing our new scum collector unit on. So, an influent flow of 75 gallons per minute, skimming area, hydraulic loading, retention time, skimming speed, volume, inlet flange sizes, overflow flange sizes, drain flange sizes. Anyway, all that has to be put in the bidding for this unit, and then we have to be able to just drop this in place, hook the piping up, and move on.
Is there going to be any need for doing any work on the tank walls? You mentioned some holes.
This tank here will be totally replaced. It'll be totally replaced with a brand new unit. That's what we're replacing. We're taking this unit out. We're putting a whole new unit back.
You'll pull that.
This whole unit will come out.
What do you estimate
The whole unit will just slide out of there?
Believe it or not, yeah, we're going to slide it out.
Okay.
On this side here, there's a door It's gonna be
Yeah, I
tight.
remember
but
that, yeah.
I think we're gonna get it out. So.
Good, good.
We'll also probably be utilizing I don't know if you remember, there was a ramp that went up to it.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully we can utilize that ramp on the new unit.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're checking into now, see if we can utilize the existing ramp where you climb up. If you look to the left of this picture, there's a grading there. You go up a set of steps, you go and look inside this unit here. Sewer line replacement. Sewer line replacement, yeah.
Indian Head Drive,
What's that?
that's Indian Head Drive.
Yes, Indian Head Drive. I don't have a lot to talk on this. Still waiting for some estimates on replacing the line. Sewer line replacement scheduled for June of 2015 to replace the line in the backyard of Indian Head Drive. Still waiting cost estimates on sewer line replacement from different excavating companies. I budgeted for that. I'm hoping that the budget that I budgeted for the year fits inside that. Money, 300 feet.
How much did you budget?
There's $60,000 in sewer line replacement fund. I'm hoping that's not going to cost that because if something else pops up through the years.
Yeah.
Luke's yard one?
What's that?
Is Luke's yard?
No.
It's not on the other end, isn't it?
Yeah, he still wants his fence replaced, even though we're not going to work on his property.
What
Nick
part of,
needs to be here to defend himself. I'm really laying it on him right now.
what part of Indian Head is that?
I think it's right at the corner of Woodland and Indian Head, in the backyard of Indian Head. There's that area right there is where we have a lot of bellies in the sewer line, where the sewer line is settled over years, and we found bellies up to 60 to 65% of water in some of the bellies, so it's not draining properly. So we get called on frequent calls there for plugs. So, you know,
Some bellies hold more than others.
yeah, some bellies, my belly.
Everybody wants to talk about the old question before you move on, because it reminded me. What the heck's this weather done to water lines and so forth?
You know,
Didn't happen quick enough.
There hadn't been many breaks, have there, John?
we've been very fortunate. Someone told me the city of Zanesville, there for a while, they had about 2 or 3 day period where they just had one right after another, right after another, right after another. Zanesville has an old system. We're fortunate most of our system was put in the mid-60s, so you know it's proper depths. It's a lot of it's cast iron and ductile iron. So you know, we still have our share of main breaks. Don't get me wrong, but
Franklin Avenue hasn't been a pain.
we haven't had one break on Franklin Avenue since we did the work on that. Not one single break.
Cause boy, he was getting
It was a
bunch
monthly.
of that.
Every month we had a break. Every month. So a lot of good things. You guys give me all
Clarifier.
Clarifier paint.
Clarifier painting. Okay. Talk a little bit about the clarifier painting. I wanted to show you a picture of the clarifier that we painted last year. This is the south clarifier. We will also be doing the north clarifier, and I discussed that a little bit with you last public service meeting. We're getting ready to. I met with Jack Brown today. He's going to be doing evaluating the drive system on the north clarifier, which is, if you look clear out here, if you walk out this catwalk, you'll see a hole there, and that's the drive unit on that. We will want to do some work to the drive unit. What extensive amount of work we're going to do. This one here, we put a whole new drive unit in. We had some problems with it. We're kind of looking at maybe possibly just replacing the top portion of that drive unit on the north clarifier. But you can see where it's painted nice around the outside of the concrete. If you look down inside, there's a lot of steel structures inside the plant, inside the tank that you can't see. All of that will be sandblasted down, repainted that brown color. Specifications for wastewater tanks. We should get 20 years out of repainting, have to repaint this again. Also wanted to mention that we will be doing this clarifier in 2015. And in 2016, we will be doing a thickener that's ahead of the digesters. It's a smaller tank than this, so I don't anticipate quite as much cost.
What are you trying to call this thing?
That is $125,000 estimate. But we've already gotten some estimates at 109. So we were a little high, and we were a little high on that.
That's coming out of capital improvement?
That will come out of the replacement fund that we have.
63?
It's replacement fund where it's designed specifically for this purpose. When any kind of piece of equipment needs replaced, that fund is used to replace equipment inside the plant. And we've been doing that, putting money in about $60,000 to $70,000 every year in that fund for a long time for instances like this that'll pop up. Okay. Major fund totals. If you look on, it's probably on the last page.
It's on the clarifier painting one.
Major fund, there is your, and if you look in the wastewater replacement fund, that shows you the amount of money that's in that fund for replacement parts. I also have one delinquent account, and I think Denise was supposed to leave it on the ledge there, and I'm going to go get it and bring it in so that you guys can give me permission to put it on the delinquent list for next council meeting.
Blue, green. That's pretty blue, and the green background.
There's the one delinquent that we have to turn into the county for, that'll go on the income tax or the taxes. Look at that. One thing I do want to mention while we have a few minutes here right before we wrap everything up, I do kind of want to mention a little bit about a lot of the industrial that's going on out on James Parkway, what's happening out there. We're looking at some drawings for another building that I think Southgate's putting in. So a lot of good things headed out in the industrial area. So it's good that we have that high pressure system out there. I think that's helped with a lot of things. A lot of things has helped with the mayor doing some good stuff with initiatives for them coming in, and also it's going to help us kind of helping develop with the water and the sewer out there. So hopefully everything will go smooth. I do want to mention one other thing that we're planning on doing out there that needs to be done is that in 2017 we have scheduled for a dual feed to the west side, which gives us even more flow to the west side in the industrial area. We've raised the pressure out there. We've got tank and capacity out there, but we do have one problem is if we have a major main break on Thornwood Drive, it cuts us off to feed in that area. And we also have a 12 going to an 8 and back up to a 12 again. There's a constriction there. So we need to finish that dual feed in 2017 so that we have continuous water feed to the industrial area. Other than that, that's all I have.
On the delinquent, since property taxes are due this Wednesday, that mean everyone that we've been putting on all these past months and
Will we
last year
tracking from that?
should, I mean, if the people pay their taxes and they pay it up,
Yeah.
then shouldn't you get like I assume you get a check like within a month or so, a whole bunch,
I would think, I never see
unless
that.
it, you know.
I never see that transaction. I don't know how that comes in and where it
That'd be a
goes.
good Becky McComb question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would just think that would, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
all those ones we've been putting on.
Probably-
Probably
Yeah, that new auditor would probably know a little bit about that too, man. So.
I can try to remember to mention that tomorrow and maybe in the finance committee meeting next week, Tim, if you want to raise that question, might have an answer for you, what the timing of those things would be. I would assume,
I would say.
They
You
collect
pay at
the
least half
taxes,
of it, right? I mean, you pay 6
Pay
months
half
worth
of
of.
it, yeah.
Is it as a tax bill or the tax to go on conveyance?
Oh, you mean when the property changes hands?
No, it goes on, I mean, it's on your, it's like a special thing.
It's included
But if you
in the
don't pay it,
property
it
tax bill?
becomes a delinquent, you pay interest on it and stuff, so.
So that becomes a property tax.
So it's part of the property tax, not like a lien put
Not
on
like a
the
lien that
property.
it's gotta convey before it's
No,
settled.
I mean,
property tax.
It's a
I've gone,
tax.
I think I've gone online to look at some of them to see, you know, where it's on there and stuff, and I think it's special, you know,
Okay.
bill on there.
And
I think it should
that's
pay,
comes
it's
out-
not like it just hangs out there forever.
That comes out of their taxes right off the bat.
Should.
One thing I
Not
wanna,
the half,
one
you're
thing
not
I wanna
gonna, they're
make
not
sure
gonna, they're
of
gonna
is
pay
that
the whole thing off
that
the
it's
taxes.
going back into the utilities. That's what I want to do.
That was the other thing, is it
don't
comes back to the city, you know.
Yeah, well, as long as it comes back somewhere, that's all.
No.
Only $33.
Let me try, I'll try to remember that, Tim.
In
and
case,
maybe,
you know,
maybe next week, finance.
Yeah, well,
the other thing, you're paying arrears, you know, you pay past, you know,
Booking is
your-
here.
so, you know, I don't know if that's current or if that hangs for another 6 months.
In the last
Yeah.
6 months, we put a lot, there's been
I
a
have
lot
no
of
idea. I've
delinquent
always
accounts.
wondered, but I had no idea when that comes in and how it comes in.
Be a good question to find
We'll
out.
all find out.
I think we need to.
Okay. Any other questions,
Back here.
comments? None?
What about the automatic meter readers? What's that gonna involve, like a typical house? What's that gonna involve?
What it'll involve is, we'll come out, and what we're hoping that'll happen is, we'll snap a new, thing on the outside of your house. You know how everyone has something on the outside of their house? The box is about that big now. We'll take the old one off, we'll put the new one on, we'll test it to make sure that, you know, we have a connection, and we're done. Takes about 10 minutes. We are planning on doing that ourselves.
Unless we're having to run the 3
Yeah, it's,
wire
if we
thing.
have to run the 3-wire thing, which most of ours is 2-wire, then that means we're gonna be going back in the house, running another wire from the meter back out to the little outside thing. That's what we're hoping that we don't have to do.
You talking about just,
If the census is higher than what we think, I mean, if they're out of whack, we may have to do that.
Yeah,
We may have to run. the
It's
wire.
just gonna slow the implementation of the system
It'll
down.
slow it way down, according to John Apple.
Yeah.
Giving access into people's homes, running the new wire.
Yeah.
No matter,
People
and
won't
a
be
lot of the
happy.
homes in Southgate are
Huh?
on,
And people won't be happy if
No.
they're having to make those arrangements. but
and
they
a
were.
lot of the homes in Southgate are on slabs, so that means you're running it up in.
Up in the attic.
John, question about that, since the one readers before, you had it where, I guess a guy could get to it or see it, or you could shoot to. Now these new ones, since it's just automatic send it, would it have to be outside, or could you just wire right inside and have it transmit? I
They
mean,
tell me it has to be outside.
Everything,
but could it be
every,
real closer outside? I mean, in other words, instead of being, you know, I don't know which side of the house it is now,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, could it, rather than
What
running
we
the
used to
wires?
do is we used to put it, there for a long time, they used to put it in the backyard.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people built fences and everything, then we had a heck of a time getting in the backyard. Then we started changing things so that everything was in the front, so when you go in the front, you could touch it.
But if you don't have to touch it, what I'm saying, it just has to be outside, rather than, maybe on some of these where you have to run it through wire, rather than have to go through the whole house or through everything, just get it to the closest outside wall.
well,
and be done.
but the problem is, your meter is where your meter is. Right.
No, but
I mean, the water line coming into the house, you know, we've got an outside meter there somewhere
A lot of the,
before it goes into the house. And that's what we're hooking the new thingy onto, right, is the outside meter.
a lot of the homes in Southgate, the meter's in the middle of the house. Believe it or not, in a like a closet type area where there's a hot water tank and they're sitting on a slab.
Inside the house?
Yes, yeah, the water meter is in the middle of the house.
Okay.
Or
So-
where the mechanicals are. It's all-
So you run it up, above, in the attic and out is how we've had to do it in the past. And some of
I
those.
see what you're saying.
Now, some places we could probably maybe make it simpler, move it to another location. But, you know, we'd have to take that off. We'd
Be a
have
lot,
to
be a lot
that,
simpler going
and
from
we
there
have to
up
run
into
it to
the
the
attic
closest
and out.
spot.
And since this uses a radio feed, radio signal, it really doesn't matter where we put the thing, it's gonna connect, it's gonna have connectivity.
It's gonna connect.
Just outside it's better to get a stronger signal.
Yeah, the higher up you could put it, the better, is what they've always told me. So, you know, a lot of them are down lower. You know, if we could put it up higher, but people aren't gonna like that, you know, so
Now, what would you do about like the ones on my house?
we're not even gonna worry
You're
about
gonna
your
mess with those? No.
No, I'm just.
No, I'm just saying.
What do you got?
You're just gonna guess that you
I'm
came
not
here
gonna
a month and that's what we're charging.
Let's just double it.
There you go, just, yeah.
I've got the one where you drive by out there and you can read it.
You can read it, you got okay.
The guy can drive by.
We'll just be fixing the box, because it's already a kind of a radio anyway.
Yeah,
So we'll just change the box on the outside,
Oh, okay.
that's all they'll do to you.
Okay.
For condos and apartments, sometimes the meters are not necessarily, can be in the middle of the building, like you said, some of the buildings. Are you gonna update building codes so it's convenient for your people to get to? So you don't have to go in like that?
That's, you know, I don't know that we will be changing any building codes. I mean, the wire's already ran, it's already existing on the outside.
He's talking about future development.
Future development?
Glenwood Apartments, where are those meters?
I can't tell you right off the I don't
Well,
know.
I know in the kind of development
I see what
I've
you're
heard
saying.
people
I see what
complaining
you're saying.
about the meter being in a bedroom,
Is there,
Central Plaza.
in your apartment, you live in,
condo.
you live in a condo. Do you have basements there? You don't have basement. Okay, where is your meter now, the meter inside your condo?
I don't know.
Where do you live?
He lives in River Oaks,
Villages of River Oaks.
Okay, alright,
Pretty
which
sure
would be
it's
one
in
of our newer.
yeah.
in the closet with the water tank, but
It's probably, wherever your water tank is, chances are that's where your meter is.
I understand some of that
Is your water tank in the middle or out towards the outside wall,
next to the garage.
next to the garage?
Oh, okay.
That would be,
But I'm
that
not
would be.
understanding that's not all cases. I've heard a lot of people complaining about the stupid location some are going into.
Yeah. That's a good question for John Groff on whether or not, I mean, we could probably work together on something like that on new builds. And we always, when I look at a new build, I'm always looking at the water line size, where it's going in at, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a good, something good to bring up. Maybe me and John need to talk more about that. See if we can do something like that. That's a good idea. Very good idea.
Anything else? 6:27, thank you.
Thanks.